So hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and another video. I think that is now my opening catchphrase. Before I get into this too much and before I forget, this here is a bit of a lesson in getting to know a course a little bit better before you sort of go hard at it. So very soon into this race, I overcook it on a corner, and there's a big patch of gravel in the middle of the road that I hadn't noticed when I lightly rode the course out earlier in the evening, and as a consequence I overcooked the corner, but then the sort of area on the road where I'd look to correct this, I can't because of that patch of gravel. So pretty dangerous, and needless to say, from there on in, whenever there was a corner that I wasn't too sure about, I backed off. So yeah, you'll see just there, not good. So there's a bit of a lesson, and then yeah, after that, sometimes you'll probably see from kind of the overlays where I stop pedaling, you probably aren't going to be able to hear the sound of what is a very noisy free hub, because I'm going to be waffling all over it, and then yeah, if it's not for the stats, then where there's the shadow, look at me looking all aero, then yeah, you'll kind of see that I'm one arm in the extensions and one hand covering the brakes. So I have rode this course before. This is the VCR 10, just out past Melton Mowbray. The event is hosted by Melton Olympic Cycle Club. So let's get the housekeeping out of the way, as I'll frame it. This is the third time that I rode this course. So for anybody who's been following the channel for what will it be, the last sort of 8 or 9 months, then and of course watch my videos, that you're not just a subscriber, I did ride this course a couple of times back in September. Back then, same club was actually, or rather did, run 2 races on consecutive Saturdays, almost as like test events ultimately, with a view of then adding this course into their regular spring-summer TT season cycle. So obviously that worked out and must have gone down pretty well with club members, and sort of satisfied whatever it was that they needed to. Safety, I would imagine, sort of first and foremost. It's now entered into their 2026 season. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time that it's featured. They must be probably 5, possibly 6 races now in, and it's the first time that it's featured. And it's going to be, or it is in the calendar, at least twice more, one of which I'm on holiday for, so I'm not going to make it, but the time after that, all being well, work commitments, weather commitments, then I'll get back to this, because I have an open a few days later. Slightly out of sync, this was on Tuesday evening. They normally race on a Wednesday. Slight oversight, as I understand it. Shall remain diplomatic. Slight oversight in terms of the date. So in terms of informing the local authorities, 2nd of June was given, and of course that was a Tuesday, not a Wednesday. But still, nonetheless, excellent turnout. There were 18 riders altogether, and I would hazard a guess it was probably weighted in the favour of female riders, which was pleasing. In my experience of kind of moving around a number of the local clubs, you typically find at best it's about 60-40. This has the potential, and I'm very sort of loosely totting numbers up and remembering who was there. I think it might actually be in favour of female riders, 60% to 40% male. So really good. So my time was 21:55, which was about 11 seconds quicker than I managed back in September. So there's one or two things there. and I don't think it was down to the conditions, and I'll talk around why I don't think it was the conditions in a second. So despite overcooking that corner and then basically taking a number of them quite gingerly afterwards, either the positional work that I've been doing has paid off, and I think there could be something in that, or otherwise I've lost count now of how many months it is, but essentially a TT training plan and working with a coach. Nonetheless, these last few races that I've done, whenever I've kind of had a longer stint of needing to hold power or even needing to up my power, I've just found that like compared to last year in particular, a little bit compared to the year before, is it doesn't completely kill me, and then I sort of have to back off from a recovery point of view. The reason why I say the conditions, so this course, and you can probably see from that very small map up in the top right hand corner, but this course more or less runs from south to north, and then since it's an out and back round the roundabout, as you'll see when I get to the turn point, and then more or less runs back from north, obviously back in a southerly direction, and the wind was actually blowing across, so it was blowing from the west over toward the east. So there were some areas, so I mean, like now was a great example where there's a wall, there's a pretty high hedgerow. Actually you were quite well protected, but of course, you know, not really much in terms of giving you a, you know, nudge up the bum, or sort of holding you back too much. But where that wasn't the case, so where you weren't kind of sheltered, there was some pretty nasty gusts, and I run full disc scope Artec wheel on the rear, and on the front I've got a pretty deep tri-spoke. So whilst I'm now fairly experienced riding that setup and in some pretty, you know, gusty conditions, it does still catch you out every so often. So I don't think in that regard there was sort of too much that was necessarily doing me a favour. I think, as I do this off the top of my head, my windsock report was something like 55% headwind. I think that's probably over egging it, but hey, what do I know? My windsock's clearly got one job, and should be able to estimate these things pretty well. But there was only a couple of times really where I really felt like I was being given a shove or kind of being pushed back, in all honesty. Although this course is deemed as flat, and it is really, it's a bit of a roller coaster in parts. There are some areas where it is genuinely flat, but otherwise you're kind of always going a little bit up or a little bit down. So yeah, it's quite good really from that point of view. And I think in terms of some of the sessions that I've done, sort of those over-unders, or even one session that was set that was actually called tailwind, headwind, tailwind, headwind, then yeah, at least then when you sort of get into these type of races where you are a little bit up and down, those type of efforts, albeit on a turbo trainer, sort of do feel somewhat familiar, and I suppose that's the point of them overall. So my time for the night, as I've already said, 21:55. It was the quickest by I think 43 seconds, 43:45. It was 11 seconds quicker than what I managed on this course previously. So I was pretty pleased with that, in all honesty. And literally, as I'm recording this, the official results have just dropped. So well done, Chris Robinson, Chris Booth, making up second and third place respectively. I think they're club members. This sheet that I'm looking at, I'm really not going to try and do this now because it's quite small print, but there is another table there as well that's available that kind of shows how the club members are stacking up in terms of overall season performance so far. So third time with Melton Olympic. I was a little taken aback, shall we say. There was a couple of people that remembered me back from September, I think pleasantly, because certainly I was given a warm welcome. exactly as I was back in September, when I kind of rocked up as this outsider who'd driven 20 to whatever it is, 25 miles from home. So that was good. Wasn't dressed like Darth Vader, as one of the young ladies pointed out to me, as I was in September. I kind of had to think back what she was referring to, and that was because I had a all black skin suit and I was riding in the TT5 at the time, so I can kind of get the resemblance, albeit I think Darth Vader has a cloak. I was probably heavy breathing though, maybe that's what she meant. Not the case now, obviously, with a more colourful team, shall we say, with Team Bottrell Nopins, who have a very fancy sort of navy into blue into sort of burnt orange fade, which is very nice. And I tried to get Red Bull sponsorship this year, but I never heard back from them, so I just decided to take matters into my own hands. At some point I will show you exactly what I'm talking about, but I think, well, if you're going to do these things, and might as well go both feet in. So I have myself a custom Red Bull helmet, which is actually a Met Drone 2, for anybody who has seen me and is thinking, what the hell is he doing, and what the hell is that in terms of a helmet. But that was very kindly provided by Bold Designs. So if anybody is looking for custom paintwork, be it a frame, a helmet, whatever, then drop me a comment and I'll put you in touch with Mr. Bold, who is based in the south of England. So what else? Well, this for me, and really over the next few weeks, this is really about sort of keeping the experience up. Is experience the right thing? Keeping my hand in, ultimately. So do have a few open TTs planned, July and August in particular, and what I don't want to do is basically lose those improvements that I've made during winter and into the early part of spring. So I'm still really trying to do at least half, sometimes 60% of my of the time that I have on my TT bike in the TT position, and if that looks like a sort of sweet spot session for maybe hour and a quarter, and then a VO2 session for about an hour, that's really what I'm trying to do. And then those sort of longer, steadier, and sometimes sweet spot rides I'm then doing on the road bike. I do prefer to be able to do my TT sessions outside if I can, just simply because I don't think really there's any substitute for being on an open road, being in the sort of time trial position, so on the extensions, head-in position. There's just really no substitute for that. I have tried to do a couple of sessions with my helmet on, but even then with a pretty capable fan, it's just too much really in terms of the heat. You just can't get the airflow over you, and you just end up working so much harder. Right, so that's enough about that for the moment. And another thing to say, so there is a road closure. You will clock at the top of the screen that the total distance was 15.7k. For anybody who's a bit old school and a simpleton I should say, 16.09 is the conversion for a 10 mile into kilometres. So you'll see this actually comes in a little bit shorter than that. There was talk about actually extending the start and finish in order to make up that sort of 300 meters or so. Definitely wasn't possible last night. There is a road closure, you'll see, or you may have already noticed already actually, as I was heading out of the village, that there was a road closure and a diversion in place. I obviously go back past that, when heading then into the finish. So yeah, that definitely wouldn't have been possible last night. I mean, so much so the finish does finish downhill. So there's enough of a runoff before you kind of get to where the roadworks actually were. But in order to extend that or extend the course by the full 300, probably would have been running into a bit of danger, I think. Had to give that guy a shout there. Again, you may or may not hear it, depending on how I edit this together, whether or not any of the background kind of stays in. But there was a little bit of a ramp there. He obviously drifted out onto the right hand side, and I thought, well, I'm not going to pass the white line in order to pass him, so I just gave him a little shout to say, on your left. Probably not the most sensible thing to have done, in all honesty, because you overtake on the right hand side. But having had that borderline nasty experience of my own making, within, I don't know, whatever it was, the first couple of 100 meters, basically wanted to be a little more cautious. I'd already gone on the wrong side of the road once. Thank you very much. Don't want to be doing that again. I think all in, because I was second to last off, so I was asked actually by the timekeeper what I expected to do in terms of my time. Just by chance I had looked, because I arrived a little bit earlier, as to what I'd done before. Obviously always good to go better than what you've managed on a course previously, albeit I didn't really expect to, because of the conditions. When I did this before, there was definitely a favourable tailwind heading back. So yeah, I expected to be around, I guess, where I landed. If I'd have been on par, I'd have been pretty happy with that. But there was a guy who, I've already said his name, is in second. I don't have the sheet in front of me now, but yeah, I think he's largely expected to be sort of the quickest guy, or maybe is typically the quickest guy. So they set him off last. And I can't remember now why I was telling you this. I love doing these in one take, because I just go off on different tangents, and other times kind of forget things. That was why I was mentioning it. So I was second to last off. So I think that probably means, because there was 18 of us, that I managed to capture every single person riding their bike on the course, be it because they were in front of me and I managed to catch them, or because they were coming the opposite way. But just in case I didn't get all of you, since you were all so accommodating and welcoming, that's why I decided to stick in the sort of traditional TT, standing around a lay-by or hovering around the timekeeper waiting for the results. So yeah, there's a bit of a mishmash there, just so you can see how professional you all look in your kit, along with your nice shiny bikes as well. Some very nice bikes actually, some that I've only ever seen sort of in pictures on the internet. So yeah, there's some interesting bikes. There was one young lady there who had a Trek, and I can't ever keep up with the models. Not an expert on Treks at all, but quite a nice paint job. There's like almost like a marble black effect on sort of the rear triangle, and then like a pearlescent white, which really, really nice colourway. Not seen anything like that before. So yes, thank you all for the warm welcome. Is appreciated. Hopefully made a good impression the first time around, and that was why people had kind of remembered me. There was also at least one person who asked me if I was recording, and of course I was, because it's the only reason that I actually do these. I mean, why on earth would you put yourself through this sort of 10-mile slog were it not for trying to make it big time on YouTube in order to be able to pack up work and do this professionally? There's no other reason, surely. So I do hope that you like the video. As I said, do look forward to getting back here in July. It's about 5 or 6 days out from my next Open event. My next Open is right toward the end of July, off the top of my head. A very, very similar course to this, maybe not quite as undulating, but it is an out and back nonetheless. I did ride it last year when I think it was Hinckley Cycling Club had their Club 10 event on it. So yeah, that's the next open that I've got in. So it's a little while, but I do have 2 weeks holiday where I will obviously be cycling, but I'll just take a couple of weeks back off of the TT. Yeah, just recharge the batteries really more than anything else, and hopefully be able to enjoy some nice weather. After that, only about 2 or 3 weeks later, and then back to the same course as where I did the Diana Cook Memorial. Yeah, back to the same course. That'll be an early Sunday morning, and that one's in August, very early August. And then after that, I'm not really too sure what I'm going to do. I would like to try and get at least another Club 10 in kind of before holiday, and I'm sure there'll be, obviously aside from this one, there will be another one in there somewhere as well in the early part of July. I found so far that this has worked for me. Obviously getting a little bit older, you know, I do have quite a lot going on with work, albeit unlike previous years. It was a bit of a drag. It's actually good stuff that's going on at the moment, but nonetheless, no matter how good, it still takes up time and takes out energy. So heading down now to the finish. Can't believe I've managed to do 20 odd minutes of this. Thank you again to Melton Olympic Cycling Club. Always enjoy meeting up with you guys. Third time but not the last. Big thumbs up if you like the footage. Any comments, questions, do drop them in the section below, and thank you very much for watching.